Alternatively, in 1982, a giant alien spaceship arrives on Earth and hovers over South Africa. There has been no activity from the ship for 3 months, so the authorities finally decide cut their way inside to find out. Then they saw a group of aliens in malnourished condition, because they ran out of supplies a long time ago. These aliens are derogatorily named prawns by humans. Rumors say that a shuttle has descended from the mothership, but no one has been able to find it. After receiving lots of international pressure, the South African government transfers 1.8 million prawns in a refugee camp known as District 9. Scholars believe that these prawns are the workers of their species, and therefore they need higher leaders give them orders and rarely initiate. Although it is surrounded by soldiers and barricades, the first few months in the district are peaceful, and it turns out that the aliens love cat food. But as time goes on, humans start rioting because the government is using too many resources on aliens instead of taking care of their own people, and District 9 further becomes a slum, getting people's xenophobia. The fact that aliens view some violent activities, such as setting vehicles on fire, as mere entertainment doesn't help his case at all. Eventually, the area becomes the overcrowded and prime ground for all kinds of crimes. Sardar Obasanjo discovers a huge black market in District 9, consisting of female workers and arms smuggling. The technology of the aliens is quite advanced, although human hands are not able to handle their weapons. 28 years later, tensions between aliens and locals have the government softening public pressure mounts, and they decide to move the camp away from the city to a remote location. To do this, they employ an arms manufacturer called MNU, Multinational United, whose executive Mr. Smith assigns his employee and son-in-law, Vicus, to lead the relocation. A group of mercenaries will also come along to protect Vicus, and for a scuffle, Wick's assistant and a cameraman also come to record, along with any aliens who resist. While they get ready, Vicus is not happy to see how many weapons the mercenaries have, but Colonel Venter insults him and tells him to deal with it. A whole convoy of vehicles takes the team to be able to cross the district when some prawns try to attack them. The mercenaries defend themselves by killing them shots. Vicus goes door to door asking prawns to sign forms informing them of their eviction, sometimes using cat food as a bargain. While some aliens agree to cooperate, others do not want to be taken from their homes and try to fight, which causes the mercenaries to force them out despite the Vicus oppose. In one house they find prawn eggs running from wall to wall and then filling the room, showing them the camera. Vicus orders the mercenaries to burn them. The shacks also contain a lot of hidden alien technology that the mercenaries seize to continue testing for MNU, even though they haven't detected it yet. Meanwhile, Christopher, his son CJ and his friend Paul are searching for a special alien fluid. Destroyed shrimp technology piles up with waste. CJ finally finds a piece after 2 decades, and the group excitedly takes it to their home, where they take the fluid to a hidden room filled with advanced technology. Liquids are synthesized and placed inside silver cylinders to carry out their plan, but at the same time, Vicus and his team knock on the door. Christopher and CJ flee to their house, and Paul passes out after hiding the cylinder, to deal with humans. However, since Paul does not want to cooperate, the mercenaries quickly thrash him to the ground, and hold him at gunpoint. Vicus enters the house for investigation. He found a lot of weapons and plus a cylinder, which he accidentally activates it and it sprays on his face. After confiscating the cylinder, Vicus tries to ask Paul some questions, but Paul answers by sneaking the mercenary into his house and pushing Vicus over a barrel of fire. Venter and the men arrive and instantly kill Paul while Wicks finds that he has been burned his hand. After receiving medical attention, Vicus continues with his duty and eventually achieves Christopher's house. He tries to give CJ some candy, but CJ responds by throwing it at him. This reaction enrages the humans, who decide to push Christopher to his knees and observe the house, where they get all kinds of equipment. While looking around, Vicus suddenly throws up a very strange fluid and begins to feel dizziness. The team decides to take him away for now, but when they stop for a bite, Vicus' blood starts coming from the nose. More symptoms appear when Vicus returns to the office to make his report. He will not stop coughing, and his nails are falling out of his fingers. Back in the district, Christopher and CJ look for the cylinder and are saddened when they find it. Meanwhile, a group of prawns trades their battle suits to the warlords for a bunch of cat food. Bess, however, kills one of the men's prawns to use as food. Obasanjo is hiring witches and shamans because he wants to be shrimp to be able to use his weapons, and these witches feel that this can be achieved if he consumes prawn flesh. However, so far this has not worked. After some time, Vikas returns home and finds his wife Tanya giving him a surprise party to celebrate his promotion. Vikas tries to be social and friendly, but he is not feeling well at all. He throws up in the sink in the bathroom, and when they cut the cake, he throws get up again before passing out. The next morning, Vikas wakes up in the hospital. The doctor removes the bandages from his burnt hand, only to find that Vikas' hand has become one shrimp claw. Horrified, the doctor calls for MNU, and a bunch of soldiers quickly arrive to take Vikas's body as carted away in a bag, ignoring Tanya's pleas for an explanation. Later in a lab, the staff finds a cylinder in Vikas' pocket and take it away. From then on, MNU put Vikas through a series of brutal experiments, including trying to alien technology out. Vikas's surprise, his new arm contains enough shrimp DNA to use the alien weapon. Vikas suffers as they shoot different targets from him, and finally, he has to shoot a prawn to death, which leaves him mentally destroyed. Once the tests are over, scientists and officials, including Smith himself, agree to kill Vikas by cutting off his organs and blood before he transforms into a shrimp. With DNA made from the right shrimp and human balance, they could make great soldiers able to use exotic weapons. When he hears this, Vikas becomes enraged and attacks everyone around him, using a scalpel to get a hostage so he is able to escape the lab before he can be shot. The mercenaries are ordered to go after him, and Smith meets with Tanya to give her a diversion, a version of what's going on. On the streets, Vikas steals clothes from hangers, a phone from a child, and scavenges, always trying to hide his paws in garbage cans for food. He tries calling his friends and family to ask for help, but everyone ignores him, and he soon learns why when he enters a store, he sees a new broadcast announcing that he wants runaway developed an infectious disease from dirtying up with the prawns. Everyone in the shop runs away from him, and Vikas admits he has no choice but to leave. District 9. Here he also cleans up and even gets a box of cat food, which he eats impatiently until he realizes he is also losing his teeth. At that moment, Vikas gets a call from Tanya, who tells him that she does not want anything. Don't do anything with him anymore because he hates it. Tanya hangs up without hearing her explanation, and Viku is desperate to get her back that he takes an axe to try to get rid of the claws. However, he is so horrified that he only gets one finger, and the pain is too great to continue. Suddenly, mercenaries and helicopters begin searching the area. Vikas runs to hide inside a house and stumbles upon Christopher while searching for his secret room, just before passing out from the loss of blood from his wound. When he later wakes up, he finds himself inside the shuttle rumored to be hiding under Christopher's home. When Vikas explains that he no longer has the cylinder, Christopher and the Chief Justice explain that they need it fluid to power the mothership again, and it may even power a machine. Help Vikas reverse his transformation. It will be impossible to retrieve the cylinder as the mercenaries will kill them. Location. Vikas spends the next hour suffering the pain of his body turning into a skin form. Shade and his torso mutate. Suddenly Vikas gets another call from Tanya, and this time she promises to get him back to become more sensible. However, it turns out to be a trap by the MNU, who lied to Tanya to track down Vikas's location. Meanwhile, CJ tells Christopher how much he misses his home planet, but Christopher reminds they can't go anywhere without that liquid, so they must move to a new settlement. Vikas overhears this and feels bad for them, so he explains that the new area is worse, so going there is a bad idea. Desperate to help the prawns and return to his wife in better condition, Vikas announces he has a plan. Later, Vikas visits Obasanjo to try to buy some weapons, but he gets hatred and violence. When the men push Vikas away, they notice his transformed body, and Obasanjo sends orders to get him for his food. Vikas struggles against the men and finds an alien weapon on the ground, which he immediately takes over and starts shooting around. Its power is incredible and quickly kills a group of men, allowing it to grab a bag of weapons and escape. Meanwhile, the mercenaries arrive at Christopher's shack but find it empty. It turns out that Christopher and Vikas are sneaking into the MNU base by blowing up the entrance, and as soon as they reached the laboratory, they shot some of the men before they could find the cylinder. However, Christopher also finds several prawns that have been killed in the experiments, including Paul. The blow doesn't let him move, and that gives the mercenaries time to catch up and open fire. Vikas retaliates and kills several mercenaries while he reminds Christopher of CJ's future, which helps the prawns to get out of it. Christopher then uses the scraps found around the lab to make bombs, which are used to make bombs an opening in the wall. Vikas and Christopher escape and steal an MNU car to return to District 9 while Venter remains and his men follow him. Once they make it into the house, CJ begins pumping fluid into the shuttle, and Christopher uses that moment to confess that he will come back in 3 years to fix Vikas as the current there is not enough fluid to power both the shuttle and the healing machine. Furious, Vikas knocks Christopher out and lands in the shuttle, where CJ is putting the fluid moves to the shuttle and the shuttle works again. A desperate Vikas tries to operate the shuttle while Venter arrives and threatens to kill him. Christopher. Suddenly the ground starts shaking and Venter and Christopher run out of the house before the shuttle could not lift off the ground very easily. Venter orders his men to fire, and a missile immediately destroys one of the shuttle's engine. So, Christopher must watch as his last hope is dashed. Later, Venter's men capture Christopher and Wicks to take them to their car. However, the vehicle is suddenly ambushed by Obese and Joe's gang, which damages their cars. To crash against Venter. The gang then opens fire and fights off the mercenaries until they capture Vikas, leading her away, leaving Christopher behind. Meanwhile, CJ deals with the shuttle panel and manages to activate the mothership again. At the gang's base, Wikus is taken to the witches so they can try to use the ritual his paw. However, when CJ activates the mothership, it also activates all other alien technology. The gang's base also includes a hidden battle suit. The suit scans the area and recognizes Vikas as a shrimp associate but the gang members as human enemy, so it opens fire to kill Obese and Joe, and his entire gang. Back at the mercenaries, some of them interrogate Christopher about the resurrected mothership. The rest of the group goes after Vikas. Finding himself surrounded, Vikas has no choice but to put on a suit and meet them to face. When he notices that the mercenaries have captured Christopher, he offers to trade the alien in exchange. However, concerned about his freedom, he quickly changes his mind when he hears Venter command his men to kill Christopher. Enraged to save Christopher, Vikas begins killing the mercenaries without mercy. They then run back to the shuttle, but since more mercenaries are following them, Vikas stay behind to buy Christopher time, refusing to come when Christopher invites him to planet. As thanks, Shrimp promises to come back in 3 years to cure her. Vikas keeps killing mercenaries everywhere, spewing blood everywhere, turning a car when she follows her, and even shooting some missiles. When he was about to shoot Venter as well, a car hit him from behind and he fell. Suit malfunction. At that point, Christopher contacts the mothership via the shuttle control panel and makes the mothership ejects the shuttle so she and CJ escape. Mothership emits tractor beam and shuttle picks up. Venter sees this and orders to fire another missile. Vikas immediately uses his suit to grab the missile, which explodes and destroys his left hand. Venter becomes incredibly angry upon seeing Christopher and CJ escape, so he shoots suit until he destroys it. Vikas crawls out of it, showing that his left eye is swollen and yellow, implying that he is almost to end the conversion. Venter points his gun ready to shoot, but suddenly a swarm of prawns appears and kill him first to save Vikas, who is now also seen as a prawn. Sometime later, the humans celebrate that the mothership has left Earth. Wiku's assistant exposes M and U's illegal research, and the government safely relocates all 2.5 million prawns in the new District 10 before 9 were demolished. Vikas's story becomes infamous, but most people stop thinking about him after a while he is dead. However, Tanya is sure that Vikas is fine as he receives a handmade metal flower. Her doors and windows have always loved crafts. Back at the landfill, it is revealed that Vikas is alive and now fully a shrimp, and he makes with more metal flower waste. If you like this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can see more videos like this. Thanks for watching.